So it's Sunday in Russia, and I'm at the hostel. There were a whole bunch of people from Germany staying with us that weekend, and they were, you know, up all night being crazy. It was fun. It was actually really a good time. And so I woke up in the morning, and I actually had to finish this duet that I would be rehearsing that night. And so I wrote that, and then it was time to head out on my own for the first time ever to meet Masha for brunch. This is where, if you're going to go to Russia, and I really recommend you do, you're going to want to learn the alphabet. The Cyrillic alphabet. It's really not that hard. There's only a couple syllables that we don't really have in English. And once you do, you can navigate the metro very easily because it's just place names, right? It's not like you really have to know anything other than like, this is what this says. I'm trying to go to Riyadh, and that's what that says. You don't have to know what that means, right? Just like Brooklyn. What does Brooklyn mean? You don't have to know. You just have to know that that says Brooklyn, and that's where I'm going. And so I went down into the metro, and this is the sign I saw. And because I could read all of the different place names, it was actually really easy to navigate. So I got to the train station I needed to go, and of course I got my metro card. This one is your like typical kind of one-time use kind of thing, and the Troika card is the refillable one. Now what's interesting about the Troika is I find the technology a little bit further along than the tech in New York. New York, if you've ever been to New York City, you've seen tourists trying to swipe their cards and failing and, you know, struggling at the turnstile. These, you just kind of, there's a little dot on the turnstile and you just put it up to it, and a green light shows and you go through. Another technology that's similar is the Apple Pay, Google Pay, that kind of stuff, but their credit cards themselves do it without swiping or inserting the cards. And so kind of interesting that they're adopting this technology a little bit faster than we are. So I got to the metro, got to the place I needed to go. I just used Google Maps. It seemed to work just fine. And I got like an international data plan. This was necessary for me. I rely on it quite a bit. And so I got to the place where we were going to eat. We had a nice brunch, and Masha gave me a really, really awesome gift. This is an album, Rachmaninoff, and that X is like a, they say it's like a KH, but I really hear it more as just H with the tongue in the back of the throat, so M-A, the H here is an N, this backwards N is an I, N-O, and then the B, uppercase B is a V sound, so Rachmaninoff. Really important to be able to learn to read. So Masha had asked me who my favorite composers are, and this is like the perfect Russian gift from what I said, because it's Rachmaninoff playing some of my favorite composers. So we have Schubert, Schumann, Bach, Beethoven. It's awesome. And so what you're hearing right now is one of the tracks off of this album. Really thoughtful gift. So after we had brunch, we went off to vote. I didn't vote, but Masha did, and we were going to try to sneak me in to see the whole process. And it was at a music museum. Unfortunately, the museum was closed. I don't know if that's because it was Sunday or because it was voting day, but we got there, and with all of the Russian knowledge I knew, Masha basically said, like, don't say anything, just act cool. I got to witness all these people voting. The people were excited to be there and to be exercising their rights to vote. After we went out to vote, and it was really cool to see all that stuff and talk to people, we went to a concert at the Tchaikovsky Museum of Moscow. Basically all of the times Tchaikovsky came to Moscow, there's pictures and postcards, and it's really cool. And there was a concert there by a pianist, and they were playing Spanish songs, and also supported by a flamenco dancer. So it was kind of funny to really have my first full day in Russia, see like very Russian election, and then see Russian people playing Spanish music and flamenco dancing. And so here's my program. All the pieces they played, stuff about the artists, you know, program stuff. It was a really cool performance. I took a couple videos so you could enjoy them as well. After the concert, I got a picture as Tchaikovsky. I got a picture with a giant head of Tchaikovsky, and took this beautiful picture of, this is one of 7 buildings. They're made exactly the same, and so you'll see them, but it's rarely the same building. There's one, it's Moscow State University. They're all over the place. Some are just apartment complexes, really nice ones, but you'll see them all over, and there are 7 in Moscow and 1 in Poland, and they're really beautiful buildings, very Russian in nature, and it made me really confused for a few days because I kept going to very different places around Moscow and seeing this building again and again, and I'm like, how, this is not the same neighborhood, how am I here again? And Masha explained to me, there are 7 of them, so you'll see them all over the place. So I took the metro back to my hostel in order to grab my trombone. I passed the Bolshoi Theater, which was all lit up and gorgeous, and I got to pass it every single time I went back home. It's really one of the most gorgeous buildings I've ever seen. But yeah, then I grabbed my trombone and I went down to the Gnesin College to meet Polina Teresienko. She's a Ukrainian trombone player who's studying in Moscow, and she entered my composition competition and got honorable mention a few years ago. And so I always kind of kept an eye on her because she is an amazing trombonist for her age and just in general. And when I decided to come back to Moscow, I sent her a message and she said, let's set something up. And so on Monday I would be playing a public concert and masterclass for local Russian trombonists, or whoever wanted to come out. I assumed it was mostly trombonists. And we would talk about music industry, viral marketing, YouTube, American trombone playing, American universities, all sorts of stuff, and also play some duets with Polina. And so I had to go rehearse with her. First of all, the duet that I wrote on the plane, and some classical stuff as well. Her mom gave me these slippers that her grandmother made, so I was wearing these Ukrainian slippers with Polina, and we played a bunch. And then I realized I hadn't had dinner, and her mom offered me some borscht, and of course I had to accept, because I have a rule that when I go to different places, I must experience things, specifically home cooking and foods that I've never tried. So I had some Ukrainian borscht. After that, I was about to keel over, and so I rushed back to the hostel and I went to bed. Now Monday is the day of the masterclass concert thing at the Gnesin College. I also toured the school with Polina, and had all sorts of rehearsals and things that I filmed. So make sure to come back for that. Lots of fun trombone things happening then. Thank you for watching. A big shout out to the Patreon donors for making these videos possible. Hope you're enjoying them so far. We're really only getting started. And I'll see you guys next time.